Hello everyone. Today we are going to review the cloud computing and security potential impacts. So let's review the very first slide about the cloud computing. So cloud computing is basically on-demand availability of computer system resources, data storage, computing power, network and application services, and database services. So all of these services are basically physically located over the service vendor cloud, and their physical data centers are spread out among different locations, and we just gonna use as a service. And all of the hardwares gonna be, and the life cycle management of hardware, that's gonna be managed by the cloud service provider. So basically it's a pay you go model. Whatever you use, you just need to pay for those. So it's gonna definitely help us to reduce the capital expenses and operating and managing hardware expenses as well. So it's pretty like flexible and scalable, and we would be having a kind of public option as well as the private cloud option that we're gonna discuss later on. uh, and one more thing from the security perspective, it provides basically enterprise class level of security. So having a pros and cons, we're gonna discuss more about in the later slides. So these are some of the fundamentals like compute. So outsource the server computing power from a cluster of virtual machines in the cloud, and compute is the processing power required by the application and system. It uses to process data and carry out computational tasks. That's all gonna be happen over the cloud. So we basically need compute resources over the cloud computing. Storage in the cloud, they're gonna provide us the storage, and our data is going to be stored over the cloud, right? Databases in the cloud are typically managed and offered as a service by cloud service provider. So we don't need to worried about the hardware and the native operating system. We can use database as a service. So there are a couple of options. So it's pretty easy to use cloud provided databases. Networking, cloud service provider maintain a high speed network connection, and it provides infrastructure to support the need of networking of their end users. So we're gonna utilize the network resources in the cloud without buying or procuring any hardware, and we don't need to basically maintain those hardware. It's going to be all via cloud. So network services we can use in the cloud without procuring any hardware. That is one of the beauty of the cloud as well. Security, definitely the native security control as per the security compliance are being provided by the cloud service provider. Access control policies would be there. Data is stored in the cloud in virtual dedicated data center, and they're gonna provide the data security by having some kind of key authentication mechanism and the encryption and the certificate level of authentication. So lots of different security controls would be there. Cloud provider basically also provide tools and the high level of security. Cloud provides centralized security solutions and monitoring of traffic as well. So these are the basically fundamentals which we are looking in the cloud environment. Instead of on premises, we can go with the cloud environment, and that definitely ultimately we're gonna get the benefit. Next one, just have a look on premises and the cloud security comparison, how we gonna get the benefit as compared to the on premises security. So in cloud security, basically data security in the cloud is handled by the cloud provider. However, in an on-premises environment, that is being carried by us. So we need to basically carry all of the security, data security controls. From physical security perspective, in cloud security, physical security controlled by the cloud provider, and we definitely don't need to invest any money over the physical data center security or any kind of surveillance or physical identity management or access control system. Since we won't be having any kind of physical stuff, it's going to be all over the cloud, and definitely for physical infrastructure would be managed or would be monitored by cloud security provider. However, definitely on premises, we need to basically uh, carry all of the security controls in terms of the physical and the logical. Definitely on premises, we are responsible for all of the physical security as well as the logical security. But definitely in cloud, we are just responsible for the logical controls, not in the physical controls. Cloud solution also provide latest security fixes and maintain the hardware by upgrading the latest firmwares and the hot fixes. However, in on-premises environment, we are involved from day one, from a very sketch till to the operations. So any firmware upgrade, any hardware life cycle management, either it's going to be end of life, end of sale, that definitely we need to take care in on-premises environment. However, on the cloud, it's going to be transparent to us. So either the hardware end of life, end of sale, or the latest hardware version is it would be transparent to us. So all of the like hardware management that's going to be done by cloud security team. In cloud, basically, cloud provides security protection against cyber criminals and cyber attacks. They have their own inside mechanism and the team who are actively looking up the security threats, and they have their own security monitoring center. So security traffic being inspected by the cloud, it's being monitored by the security team. However, we might need to pay some of the security monitoring parameters. That's basically a separate discussion, but we would be having some kind of security mechanism and options available in the cloud. However, in on-premises, basically we need to care about all of the security stuff like by having up there our own firewall, antivirus software, everything we need to have over there. And the largest cloud provider have robust security team and tight procedures that I already explained. And on premises, the major benefit of on premises is going to be a data privacy. So like we own the data, we carry the data. So data reside within the data center, so we can retain the data privacy. However, in the cloud security, it would be a pretty challenging part. But definitely, there are ways to secure the data, like encrypting the data, but still data privacy is one of the concern in the cloud security because we are moving the data over the cloud on the remote virtual location. This is about some of the cloud virtualization platform and the security as the shared responsibility. So when we are talking about the cloud security and when we are talking about the cloud services, so it's going to be half and half responsibility. So you can see in this drawing, so the bottom part, you can see the cloud foundation services, compute, storage, database, networking, and some of the logical global infrastructure components that need to be all provided by the cloud services provider, and they are responsible to manage all of those physical infrastructure and to provide us the security of those particular components as well. So physically they are responsible, either it's going to be an install or either it's going to be a security of those stuff. However, if you see the top part, so the customer is solely responsible for all of their applications and contents. So application installation and their content management, that is basically we are the responsible. And running the operating system, virtual firewalls, security policies, firewall configuration, what kind of encryption we need to use, network traffic protection. So all of these virtual component, basically we are responsible. So if we are concerned about the security too, so it's half and half role. It's not like that we are moving the services into the cloud and we would be done. No, perfectly no. We have to manage all of our environment logically. Definitely, it's going to provide an ease to basically run the services in a second. We don't need to buy a hardware on real time, and whenever we want, we can scale up the application and we can have the right security control and services in the cloud whenever we need it. So the next one, we do have a different cloud services models. So I'm gonna walk through one by one. The very first one is SaaS, software as a service. And software as a service, it's basically referred to the cloud-based application, and it can be accessed by using any web application or web browser. So we don't need to basically install about the end user client software over a machine. So it's going to be a software as a service, and we don't need to basically install the virtual machine or the physical hardware or to install the application. It's a software as a service. We just need to provision or just need to define couple of parameters, and we can use uh, the online software for our end user, like for example Outlook, Gmail, Salesforce, Dropbox, and some of the other applications you have seen. So it's pretty straightforward. We don't need to manage any particular server machines, any particular hardware, any firewall rules, nothing like that. So we're gonna use the software as a service. And definitely the benefits are like it provide the cloud-based native application, and applications can be accessed remotely anytime, anywhere, and we don't definitely don't need any server to get it provision. Second one is platform as a service. These are the tools oftenly provides to the developers as a framework on which they can build their own software applications. And this basically allow them to use an existing tools to build up the professionally application, and they will be able to access the operating system, software updates, storage, and infrastructure. So all of these stuffs going to be available for them to have the necessary development done. Examples are Google App Engine, OpenShift, SAP Cloud, AWS Lambda services. So these are basically easily accessible for the developers. And developer can get the benefit by using these tools to build up the new application environment, by using the application environment to build up the new application. Third one is desktop as a service. It provides basically a cloud computing uh, virtual desktop, which is going to be used by end users. So this virtual desktop basically resides in the data center, and whatever be the end user host machine, it's going to be they're gonna just take the remote desktop, which is being configured under the cloud environment by having a dedicated storage and security mechanism in place by following the security compliance. So in that way, he gonna just access the remote access server, and he gonna perform his task, and he can shut down the server. So in that way, we will be having a high level of security. Any kind of operating system can access those virtual desktop interfaces, and remote workers can work securely. So one of the example is the VDI virtual desktop interfaces, which are being provided by different vendors. The fourth and the last one is infrastructure as a services. So it's a kind of the virtual data center where they provide all of the basic needs of the infrastructure for your business to operate servers, storage, and the networking resources, and all of these they provide as a service, and we can use all of those infrastructure services for our different applications and different kind of servers and different kind of loads. So examples are like Amazon Web Services. They are providing their own public cloud, Google Cloud, Microsoft Azure, IBM Cloud. So basically the benefit is that we don't need to procure or manage any particular physical hardware and physical location, physical rack spaces. We don't need to take any headache and overhead of maintaining and managing the entire data center location. So it's all going to be offload over the service provider, and they're gonna basically provide us all of the infrastructure to use, and it's being shared among the different customers. So here is a quick summary of the service model of the cloud computing. You see, the blue one is our responsibility, and the red one is the cloud service provider responsibility. So you can easily compare and see like how these services model differ. So when we compare with the on-premises environment, so all of the task and all of the related work we need to uh, work solely, and we need to basically have all kind of physical and the logical control to manage and deploy the entire environment. However, in infrastructure as a services, so you guys easily see like what we need to do, basically, we need to carry our data, application, runtime, operating system, and middleware. These are the functions which we need to take care. However, from the physical stuff like the virtualization based platforms, servers, storage, and the networking that need to be provided by the cloud service providers. So it's gonna basically help us to not procure any hardware or to whenever we need to run any particular application or service for the need of the business, we can do in a second because we don't need to procure hardware, we don't need to plan anything, and it's really immediately we can spin up in the cloud environment. So, the third one you see PaaS, like platform as a service. So even in platform as a service, we don't on top of all of the virtualization platform and the hardware platform and hardware resources, operating system, middleware, and runtime. These are all being managed by the cloud service provider as well. So even that would be more quicker than the infrastructure as a services. We don't need to spin up the virtual machines. Uh, uh, we just need to take care about the application and the data. However, in the labs, the software as a service, it's entirely end-to-end service which is being provided by the cloud service provider. So even they are providing a set of applications or different applications which we can just use, or we can just start performing the subscription. And after having the required subscription in place, we can start using those software as a service. So that's going to be more quick. So this is basically the comparison among all of the different service model of cloud computing, and you guys can easily understand how we are getting the benefit uh, against on premises. Um, Cloud services oriented architecture. So you guys see the like how it's gonna provide us the benefit to us. So basically our services, processes, users, and platform, they're gonna interact with each other by following the service-oriented architecture. It allows organization to access on-demand cloud-based computing solution according to the change of business needs. And the advantages of using a cloud service oriented architecture is it's easy to maintain, it's a platform independent, it's highly scalable. Whenever you want, you can scale it up horizontally, and you can add more compute, you can add more services. So it's basically advantages, having a lots of advantages. And it let you build, deploy, and integrate individual businesses, services, and functions it computing platform on which they run. So basically a lots of benefits we're gonna get by using this service oriented architecture. The next one, deployment model for the cloud. We have different kind of deployment models: private cloud, public cloud, community, and hybrid. So private cloud is typically infrastructure used by the single organization, and such kind of infrastructure may be managed by the organization itself or to support various user groups, or might be some in some case like the vendor managed. But the ultimate goal is that it's an on-premises environment by having a cloud technology implemented within your on-premises environment, which gonna provide us different cloud functionality, services, and feature. But it's all need to be managed by us. And in contrast to a public cloud, it's basically a typically shared infrastructure used by the multiple organization like the Google, Amazon, uh, and AWS they are providing. So physically underlying architecture would be a same managed by the service provider. And on top of that, organization need to create their own services, and we will be having different virtualized infrastructure managed over the public cloud. So these are the main differences among between the private and cloud. The community one, this development model support multiple organizations sharing compute resources that are part of the community. Example include universities, schools, colleges, and cooperating in certain kind of areas of research. So they're gonna keep sharing their environment. Hybrid, it's a combination of both public and private cloud. Most of the organization have some of the services running in private cloud and some on their public cloud. So from integration perspective, like cloud to cloud integration and services, protocol, application, it's pretty easy to move on and spin up the applications among different environments. So in hybrid environment, you're gonna see most of the customer, they are running their own public private cloud, as well as they are also using the public cloud services as well. So where they have some kind of data concern, they have a mission critical applications which are being running within the cloud and they want to keep in the cloud. So in some of the cases, they from the privacy perspective, they want to keep it in the private, in their own private cloud. And some of the IT infrastructure or the management kind of services, they usually uh, use the public cloud. So it's all depend over the customer need, what application they're gonna reside in the private and what they're gonna move over the public. But most of the organization have hybrid kind of infrastructure. So in that way, they're gonna communicate back to back and providing the end user different kind of services. Uh, this slide is showing security, storage, legal, or privacy issues. So in cloud security, the main cloud security issues and threats are like some of them I had listed over there, but it's not an entire list. So in cloud security, misconfiguration of cloud security settings are leading a cause of cloud data breaches. If you gonna do the misconfigurations, so that's going to be exploited and data breaches could be happen. Unauthorized access can enable an attacker to gain direct access to lack of authentication and authorization policies. Definitely, as I said, like all of the logical controls and the security controls, we have to define on top of spinning up each and every application services. So all of the defined controls, basically they're gonna provide us the best compliance and the best way. However, we need to follow those. So data loss or leakage policies that we need to define. So any lack of configuration, security controls, traffic uh, lack of monitoring. So that's gonna basically put us in the vulnerable situation where we could have some kind of security compromise. Cloud storage system come with a load of potential security risk if proper data security policies are not implemented, like data encryption, data backup, access API, allowed user or networks. Again, so even for the cloud storage, we need to have the right security policies and the controls and the encryption should be in place. Otherwise, we would be in a trouble. Cloud legal or privacy issue. So data privacy, you don't want anybody to access it unless you allow them. So that is one of the issue. And after data migration, losing privacy control. So that is one of the concern in the cloud. Are you taking a risk to move your critical data over the cloud or not? If we are moving a data to the cloud, then we will be having a right security control like encrypting our data. And since it's going to be a public over the public cloud, although it's not going to be accessible or shareable among different uh, users or organizations, so uh, proper permissions would be there. But there is a little concern about of the companies, like we are moving the data away from our own data center, and would it be secure or not? So that is one of the privacy concern, but we can address it if we have a right control in place. But it's all about the customer satisfaction and their need and the level of trust. Thanks all everyone. This is what I have. Hopefully you enjoyed over the presentation and we're gonna move forward with the cloud. If you have any questions, feel free to ask and let me know. Thank you. Have a good day.